Hi there, this is Read Sav Read and I'm Savannah. In this video I wanted to kind of follow up on my last video where I talked about my top 20 favorite reads of 2017, and I just wanted to touch base and let you all know what I've been reading so far this year. We're 6 days in, and I've already read a few books of poetry and I'm reading a few novels right now. So, let's start there. So far, I've read 3 books of poetry. All 3 are published by Button Poetry. Helium by Rudy Francisco was awesome. I loved it. It was just beautiful. Every poem was incredible. Made me laugh, made me sad, made me happy. There was a lot of emotion. And his work touched on a lot of important issues. I highly recommend that one. Helium by Rudy Francisco, published by Button Poetry. Sierra DeMulder's We Slept Here. She has several books of poetry published by Button. It was beautiful as well. I just loved it. This is my first book of hers that I've read, but I know that she is quite popular in the poetry community. I think she's actually one of the founders of Button Poetry. So I'll be reading more of her work for sure. This one is called Peluda by Melissa Lozada Oliva. Excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. This was incredible. Incredible. And I believe it's her first book of poetry. I love the cover art. Check this book out. That's all you need to know. Right now I'm reading Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And it's beautiful. It's written really well. The imagery is outstanding. The language is incredible. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I know that it was Goodreads' #1 work of fiction of 2017. Oprah and Reese Witherspoon, who I've noticed the books they recommend I also love, so I trust that judgment. They've been going crazy about that book. Yeah, so I'm reading that, and so far it's intriguing, so I'm excited to continue on with that one. The Sun and Her Flowers I'm about to start. It's by Ruby Kaur. She wrote Milk and Honey. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm excited to read her second collection. I'll give you The Sun. I'm planning to start soon. I don't know much about it, but I've been recommended that book by several people, so I'm going to read that this year. Next up on my TBR, my to-be-read list, A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. The last book I read of 2017 was A Court of Mist and Fury, which was the second of 3. It's a trilogy. Except I'm kind of confused because I know she's writing more, but it's going to be a different set of characters. So, yeah, we'll see. So this book will be the last with this set of characters as far as I understand. So I'm excited to read this. This one came out in 2017. It's the most recent. Yeah, that second book was super tense and it left off. I need more. So I'm excited to dive into that one. I'm going to read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. It's the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series. The first one's Cinder. I read that one in 2017 and I really enjoyed it. I haven't read much young adult sci-fi. I haven't read much sci-fi at all, actually. But I liked it a lot, so I'm going to continue on with that series. I'm going to read The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. It was adapted to film this year, and I like to watch movies after I read the book. So that movie looked really good, so I think I'll read the book first. I believe it's a memoir. Yeah. The Glass Castle, a memoir. Yes, it's a memoir. So that's interesting. Not very often are memoirs adapted to big screen films, so that's cool. Leon Moriarty wrote The Husband's Secret, which I plan to read this year. She also wrote Big Little Lies and Truly Madly Guilty, both of which I read this year. They are amazing if you haven't read those two. Yeah, I'm going to continue reading her books because she is an amazing writer. I'm going to read Torch by Cheryl Strayed. I'm sure you've all heard of Cheryl Strayed. If you haven't read Wild, read it. Yeah, it's great. So this is her first and only novel, so I'm interested to see how her writing style transfers from creative nonfiction to fiction, because I love how she writes. So we'll see. This one is called Fun Home, a family tragicomic by Alison Bechdel. I know it was adapted to Broadway. It's a graphic novel. I've heard good things about this one, so I'm reading this one this year. I haven't read any complete collections by David Sedaris, but I'm going to start that this year. I'm going to read Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls. I'm going to read as much as I can of him because I've been reading his essays and listening to him read aloud on YouTube, and he is hilarious. He kills me, so I can't wait to read full-length collections of his. I'm going to read Run River by Joan Didion. I was gifted this for Christmas, and I am in love with Joan Didion. She is amazing. If you haven't seen the new documentary about her life, it's on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. It has the word center in it. Should have thought about that first. Center of All Things or something like that. I don't know, but you can Google it. Joan Didion documentary. Watch it. It's awesome. Last year I read The Year of Magical Thinking, South and West, Play It As It Lays, and Blue Nights, all by Joan Didion. Yeah, she's amazing. So I've only read one piece of fiction from her, which was Play It As It Lays, so Run River will be another one of those. I really love how she writes, and she writes really similarly between nonfiction and fiction. So yeah, I'm excited to see more of her work. Next up on my TBR, Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This is a classic. I want to read it. It's supposed to be incredible. Heard nothing but good. Been meaning to read it. I'm reading it this year. I'm going to read the autobiography of Alice B. Toklas by Gertrude Stein. I've read the poetry of Gertrude Stein, but I have not yet read this piece. So I'm excited to read this. I love Gertrude Stein so much. I'm going to read Bark by Lori Moore. Lori Moore is one of my favorite authors of all time. She is hilarious and a genius, and yeah, I haven't read this, so I'm going to read this. I want to read everything by Lori Moore. I don't know why I haven't yet. So I bought that, and I'm going to read it. If you haven't read anything by Lori Moore, like, pause this video and go Google her. There's stuff online. You can read it right now for free. It's what you should be doing. You shouldn't even be watching this. You should be reading Lori Moore. And I'm going to read Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, which I can't believe I haven't read yet, because I know I'm going to love it. I don't know why I'm procrastinating it, because I just know I'll love it. And Hulu adapted it, which I'm sure you know, into a series, and it won a bunch of awards. And it's gonna come back for a second season, and I can't wait to read it and then watch it, because I just love to do that. That's all I have in my pile right here. That should keep me busy for a little bit. I'm obviously going to read a lot more than that this year, but those are some that I had on my bookshelf that stuck out to me that I wanted to publicly pledge to read this year. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Be sure and like, comment, subscribe, share, talk to me, comment. I said that, but you know, tell me if you've read these, if you need recommendations, if you think you'd be into these. Yeah, let's talk. Alright, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you next time.